The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Welcome to the Life Quotes, where timeless wisdom meets the challenges of modern life. Today we dive into the mind of one of history's greatest strategists, Sun Tzu. His lessons weren't just about war, they were about living, with discipline, with clarity, with purpose. Yet most of us never pay attention, until it's too late. In this video, we'll uncover the ancient truths that too many men ignore, until failure, betrayal, or regret forces them to look back. But not you. You're here now, listening, and that means you still have time to learn. The first lesson, know yourself, know your enemy. Among all the wisdom passed down through the ages, few lessons are as universally timeless as this. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. This is not just military strategy, it's a fundamental principle of life, of leadership, and of growth. To know yourself is to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, your triggers and your habits, your deepest desires and your silent fears. Most people move through life reacting, not responding, because they've never taken the time to reflect. They chase approval, avoid discomfort, and let their insecurities guide decisions. But clarity begins the moment you pause and honestly ask, who am I? What drives me? What holds me back? Equally important is to know your enemy. And in real life, your enemy isn't always a person. Sometimes it's procrastination. Sometimes it's self-doubt. Sometimes it's a toxic pattern, a limiting belief, or a voice in your head that says, you're not good enough. When you can identify exactly what stands in your way, you begin to see how to overcome it. Like a general mapping the battlefield, you stop fighting blind. But there's more. The true strategist becomes the enemy, not in spirit, but in understanding. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. If you can think like the opposing force, anticipate its moves, predict its next step, feel its intentions, then you're always 10 steps ahead. In business, it's how leaders outmaneuver competitors. In conflict, it's how calm minds disarm chaos. And in inner battles, it's how you silence the voices that try to sabotage you. On the other hand, those who fail to know either themselves or their adversaries are doomed. They walk into every struggle unprepared, every setback unexpected. If you ignore both your enemy and yourself, you are certain to be in peril. They live reactively, blaming circumstances and never learning. In the end, knowledge, deep, uncomfortable, honest knowledge, is power. And from that power comes peace, purpose, and precision. Whether you're navigating a battlefield, a career, or your own emotions, begin by looking inward. Know yourself. Then, learn the shape of your challenge. And suddenly, what felt overwhelming becomes a winnable game. 100 battles may come, but you'll already be prepared. Lesson 2. Act when ready. Why should ready, not when provoked? True power lies in deliberate silence. Victory is rarely about brute force. It's about timing, patience, and precision. In warfare and in life, the wisest do not charge forward at every opportunity. They wait, observe, and prepare. And when they move, it's with certainty, like a thunderbolt cutting through the sky. As Sun Tzu wrote, let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. This metaphor isn't just poetic, it's practical. Life throws chaos at us. Uncertainty, competition, betrayal, loss. But within that chaos, there is always opportunity. Always. Yet most people panic when storms arrive. They rush, make desperate moves, or freeze in fear. The skilled strategist, however, does the opposite. He stands still, he studies the storm, and when the clouds shift, when the moment is right, he acts, swiftly and decisively. This idea also applies to communication and leadership. Some people speak too much, revealing their intentions too early, but the master holds silence like a shield. His moves are invisible. His strength is not in noise, but in control. Like a mountain unmoved, he stays grounded. Like fire, when unleashed, he consumes everything in his path. Another core truth: opportunities multiply as they are seized. Once you take one bold action, doors open. One good decision creates ripple effects. But those ripples don't happen by accident. You need to recognize the moment and be ready to act. Remember, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. The battle is not won on the field, it's won in the preparation, in the silence, in the plan no one sees. The lesson is simple, yet powerful. Move with purpose, not emotion. Don't act unless you see an advantage. Don't speak unless there is clarity. Be still when needed. Be fire when it counts. The one who seems quiet may in truth be the most dangerous, because their silence is not fear, but calculation. Lesson 3. The highest skill is to win without fighting. To win 100 battles is admirable, but to avoid all battles and still win, that is genius. Sun Tzu taught, to win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. This idea challenges everything society glorifies about conflict, competition, and dominance. Many people believe that power lies in confrontation, raising your voice, proving your point, dominating an argument, or defeating a rival. But true mastery lies in avoiding the battle entirely. It means you've outmaneuvered, outthought, and outpositioned your opponent before the first blow is ever struck. In the modern world, this lesson applies far beyond war. In your workplace, personal life, or social circles, the person who masters subtle influence, who plants seeds quietly and creates outcomes without chaos, that person holds the real power. Build your opponent a golden bridge to retreat across. This strategy is as much about empathy as it is about intellect. Give your adversary an honorable exit. Let them save face. Why crush your opponent when you can remove their desire to fight altogether? People who feel cornered become dangerous, but those who feel respected, even in defeat, become silent allies. The whole secret lies in confusing the enemy so that he cannot fathom our real intent. Clarity is not always a weapon. Mystery can be far more powerful. The more unpredictable your moves, the harder it is for others to control or counter you. And sometimes, when no one understands your plan, they assume it's far more advanced than it actually is. Sun Tzu also taught, one need not destroy one's enemy. One need only destroy his willingness to engage. This is a profound truth. If you can remove your opponent's motivation to fight, you've already won. Sometimes this means proving the battle isn't worth their effort. Other times it means offering something more valuable than conflict, understanding, peace, or a better path. In life, you won't always have to draw swords. You'll face opposition, but not every challenge deserves a fight. Learn to ask, is this worth the energy? And if not, win with grace, by stepping aside, by smiling, by being the one who sees beyond the battlefield. True strength is not about how many enemies you defeat, it's about how many fights you avoid while still walking away victorious. Lesson 4. Chaos isn't the enemy. It's the beginning of transformation for those who stay calm. Chaos is feared by the unprepared, but to the wise, it is a chance disguised as disorder. Sun Tzu once wrote, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. This is not just a lesson for generals. It's a blueprint for those navigating the unpredictability of life. When things fall apart, when your plans crumble, your career shifts, or relationships break down, your first instinct may be to retreat, panic, or feel defeated. But the chaos you fear may actually be life clearing the path for a better outcome. Moments of disorder shake our routines and comfort zones, forcing us to see things differently. The world may look like it's on fire, but hidden in the smoke is a new perspective, a new root, a new strength inside you that wouldn't have awakened otherwise. Just as storms reveal the strength of a tree's roots, chaos exposes the depth of a person's resilience. When everything is unstable, those who stay centered become the rare, steady presence others rely on. And those who adapt not only survive, they lead. Sun Tzu understood that during the disarray of war, perception is power. Confuse your opponent, strike where they least expect, move like lightning when they're still reeling from disorder. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. In daily life, the same principle applies. You don't need to announce your every move. When life feels unstable, don't react in panic. Observe, think, move with quiet intent. Your advantage lies in patience and preparation, not impulse. We often forget that most innovations, transformations, and personal growth are born not in times of peace, but during upheaval. A layoff leads to a better career. A breakup teaches self-worth. A setback forges discipline. What feels like the end is often a new beginning in disguise. Chaos is not your enemy. It is your proving ground. The battlefield of uncertainty sharpens the blade of strategy. And those who dare to see opportunity while others see disaster, they're the ones who rise. Remember, storms don't come to destroy you. They come to clear your paths. Lesson 5. Win internally before you ever step into battle. Victory doesn't begin on the battlefield. It begins long before, within the mind, the plan, and the preparation of the one who intends to win. Sun Tzu's teaching, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, reveals a powerful truth. Success is decided before the fight even begins. Those who rush into challenges without strategy, who act out of emotion or ego, often stumble and fail. They go to war first and then seek to win, reactive, desperate, and disorganized. But the wise warrior studies the terrain, the timing, the opponent, and most importantly, themselves. In life, this means never making decisions based solely on impulse. Whether it's a business venture, a relationship, or a personal goal, the battle is won in planning, not in passion. You don't climb a mountain by charging at it. You study the map, gather the tools, and choose the right moment to ascend. Preparation is your hidden advantage. It's what gives you calm under pressure, clarity in confusion, and confidence when others panic. The more you've anticipated, the less you fear. When you've already run the battle in your mind 100 times, the actual moment becomes easier. This is not about overthinking, it's about intentionality, about knowing what success looks like before you chase it. The victorious warrior doesn't fight for validation or out of anger. He fights only when the conditions are right, when the odds are in his favor, and when he has already claimed victory in his spirit. This lesson also speaks to emotional self-mastery. If you enter conflicts needing to prove something, you've already lost. But if you come from a place of grounded purpose, you don't need to shout, react, or force outcomes. You act when the time is right, and you walk away when it's not. In this world, the people who appear calm, quiet, and thoughtful are often the ones already 5 steps ahead. They don't broadcast their plans, they execute them. They don't get drawn into every battle. They choose which ones are worth fighting. So don't chase the fight. Don't hope to find success in the heat of chaos. Instead, win first in your habits, your mindset, your clarity, and then act. That is the path of the victorious. Lesson 6. The highest victory requires no battle. In war, as in life, the greatest victories are often the quietest. Sun Tzu tells us, ultimate excellence lies not in winning every battle, but in defeating the enemy without ever fighting. This idea may seem counterintuitive in a world that constantly celebrates confrontation, struggle, and dramatic wins. but it carries timeless wisdom. True mastery is about influence, not brute force. The wisest individuals do not waste energy fighting every battle that comes their way. Instead, they use insight, presence, and subtle power to shift outcomes before conflict even begins. They diffuse hostility through understanding. They redirect competition through innovation. They outmaneuver aggression by simply never playing the game the way the opponent expects. Think of the times in your life when a problem dissolved, not because you fought it head-on, but because you approached it with clarity and calm. Perhaps you walked away from a toxic argument, and in doing so, preserved your energy. Maybe you anticipated a challenge at work, and through preparation, made it irrelevant. These are the unseen victories that matter most. This lesson teaches us to value wisdom over war, to focus not on crushing others, but on creating outcomes where fighting becomes unnecessary. Imagine a leader who can avoid laying off their team by restructuring wisely, a negotiator who achieves compromise before threats escalate, a person who overcomes their own inner conflicts, thereby diffusing external ones. These people win not by overpowering, but by outthinking, outseeing, and outlasting. The key lies in emotional control and foresight. When you're provoked, do you react or do you pause? When someone challenges you, do you rush to assert dominance, or do you question whether the fight is worth your peace? Real strength is the ability to choose when not to fight. In relationships, this means walking away from drama. In business, it means anticipating market shifts and adapting early. In your own mind, it means mastering your emotions so they no longer master you. Don't measure strength by how loud you are or how many arguments you win. Measure it by how many you never needed to have. Those who avoid battles not out of fear but out of wisdom are the true victors. To defeat without fighting is not weakness. It is art, it is clarity, and it is power in its most refined form. Lesson 7. Lead with the heart, not just the sword. In the heart of strategy and leadership lies a truth that has transcended centuries. Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. Sun Tzu didn't just speak to generals and soldiers. He spoke to all who seek to guide, inspire, and protect others. This lesson isn't about war, it's about human nature. Whether you're leading a team, raising a family, mentoring someone, or simply influencing others through your presence, the most powerful force you have is not control, it's compassion. People don't follow you because they're told to. They follow because they feel seen, valued, and understood. When you treat people like tools, they break under pressure. When you treat them like children, meaning with patience, care, and genuine investment, they rise beyond their limitations. Think about the greatest leaders in your life. Were they the ones who barked orders, or the ones who remembered your name, asked how you were doing, and pushed you because they believed in your potential? This is not to say leadership is about softness. True love is tough when it needs to be. Parents don't coddle their children into strength. They guide them through discomfort with presence. Likewise, a good leader doesn't eliminate challenge, but provides a reason to face it. Belief, loyalty, purpose. In the context of modern life, this lesson applies everywhere. In business, a leader who respects their team creates loyalty that outlasts profits. In education, a teacher who nurtures potential shapes lives beyond test scores. In friendships, showing up consistently and listening deeply builds trust more than any grand gesture. Sun Tzu knew that strategy without humanity leads to rebellion. Armies might obey orders, but they'll never sacrifice for someone who only uses them. But if a soldier feels like family, they will walk into fire for you, not because they must, but because they want to. And this extends inward too. Are you treating yourself like someone worth following? Are you kind to your own mistakes, or do you punish every flaw? The way you lead others is a mirror of how you lead your own soul. Compassion begins within. So lead not with fear, but with example. Not with domination, but with devotion. The valley is deep, yes, but those who feel loved will walk it with you no matter how dark it gets. Because they won't be following a commander. They'll be following someone they trust with their life. The strength of flexibility. Adapting strategy like water. One of the greatest teachings of ancient strategy is the power of flexibility. Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, emphasized again and again that rigid plans rarely survive the fluid nature of real conflict. Just as water takes the shape of the container it fills, your approach in life must be shaped by your circumstances, always flowing, always adjusting. Be where your enemy is not. This isn't just about military advantage, it's a mindset. True effectiveness comes not from confrontation, but from positioning. The most successful people don't charge headfirst into every battle. They choose their ground wisely, anticipate moves, and act when the conditions are right. Being unseen, unpredictable, and unconstrained is the advantage of the flexible mind. When you plan for what is difficult while it's still easy, when you solve problems before they escalate, you demonstrate mastery over the future. You prevent disasters not through force, but through foresight. It's in the moments of calm that great thinkers anticipate storms and make preparations quietly. In contrast, those who ignore early signs end up fighting unnecessary battles. Sun Tzu also warned of spreading oneself too thin. If he sends reinforcements everywhere, he will be weak everywhere. This applies to energy, focus, and even relationships. When you try to be everything to everyone, to win every argument, chase every goal, prove yourself in every situation, you dilute your power. Selectivity isn't laziness, it's wisdom. Be deliberate. Conserve your strength for where it truly matters. And remember, chaos, fear, and disorder do not arise from nothing. They are born from overconfidence, neglect, or misjudgment. Strength can breed weakness if left unchecked. Comfort can dull your instincts. Courage can decay into recklessness. That's why constant self-awareness is critical. Adaptation is not an option. It's survival. True strategy is knowing when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen, when to push and when to pull back. You don't have to be the loudest or the fastest. You only need to be precise. So live like water, quiet, responsive, and relentless. Flow around obstacles, shape your environment, and when the time is right, fall like a thunderbolt.